I've just played with World of Warcraft's new housing system, and it's shaping up to be the best player housing I have ever seen in an MMO. Hey buns. So, Blizzard flew me out to Boston this weekend for a private hands-on summit where I got to decorate my own house. I got to play test the system for a couple of hours, and I sat down with the devs for a one-on-one interview about housing, so I have so much to share with you today. The system is much bigger and better than I could have ever expected, which was the general consensus of everybody I talked to there. So I have some juicy secrets to share with you today about what I made, how I did it, you know, what you could do based on everything that I've seen so far, and as a bonus, some hints about stuff that we're not really supposed to know about yet. Now, of course, you can make a cozy house like I tried to, but next to me in the computer lab, I saw people making fighting arenas, ballrooms, jumping puzzles, creepy dungeons, like you name it. The sky's the limit. It's so open-ended. And of course, it's free real estate. What surprised me more than anything is how very not tacked on this is. They envision this as part of the WoW gameplay loop, and the way that they're building it feels really different. It should not be, and I'm quoting a dev here, oh, let's go to Housing Island, do some housing things, and now let's come back to regular WoW. It should feel like engaging with the rest of WoW. So they don't want it to be some isolated side thing, it's stuck in an instant zone that you set and forget. They want to weave it in to the core game and let it scale to your interest level so that if all you want is to show up once a month and drop off a severed head, that's okay. Or if you want to spend 20 hours a day building your gobby dream house, you can do that too. So integrated, but not mandatory. One of the devs said that, you know, WoW's traditional gameplay is not part of housing itself, but it's complementary. They feed into each other. So playing WoW can lead you into housing, and housing can lead you into WoW. It's part of the same ecosystem. It's the circle of domestic life. Not slapped on. Okay, it's part of it. So the build we saw was rough and unpolished. Paul Kubik, who is the associate game director, even said that this is not the type of thing we've made in the past. It's a lot earlier and a lot rougher. And some of us were like, why would you release this info so far ahead when this is an expansion selling feature? And they said because they want to work with the community to build it. They want to listen to players from the ground up, which means showing a pretty messy work in progress earlier than they normally would. So don't forget to leave a comment if there's something that pops in your head that you want while you're listening. The baby Murloc that they've shown us is still covered in goo, but she's looking so beautiful already. So let me just show you. So you actually get 2 houses, not just one. You get 1 house per faction, and Horde and Alliance can live next to each other. So your Horde alt can live in your Alliance house and vice versa. There's no guards or aggro, so if it's red, it's bad, apparently. So there's 2 edit modes for placing stuff, the snap easy mode and then the full advanced god mode. I'm quite sure that the official housing video that shows the interior was all done with basic mode. That's normal snapping and collision, super easy to work with, even if it's your first time using any 3D tools. And then there's advanced mode, which lets you scale things up and down, flip, float, clip, whatever you want to do. And it's also pretty easy to use, which is crazy for such an early build. I heard Dratnos say that, you know, rather than all the features done medium well, it's like half the features done really well, which is a much better starting point. I watched Jay Wong, the housing decoration lead, clip a table into another table to make a stovetop. Then he floats a cabinet up into the air to make the range hood, and then he gets his little barrels and he clips their tops of the table to make the burners. And he's like, yeah, I did play some FF14. And I'm like, oh really? I couldn't tell. It's like, tell me you played FF14 without telling me you played FF14. So here's the room that I was working on when they called me for my interview. And let me just say that if you thought you lost track of time playing before housing, buckle in, because 3 hours felt like 30 minutes. That's how you know housing is still World of Warcraft. I built a double tall room, so I'd have some more verticality. I custom built a spiral staircase with planks and a Lordaeron fencing. I floated a gazebo up to make a little reading nook, and there are pillows in there, of course. I did request plushies, Illidan plushies specifically. Should have asked for body pillows. Below that on the wall is a weapon rack. It is not functional right now, but it did say weapon rack. It was classified as interactable. And to the right of that is an outhouse. Here's another room with a skylight scaled up 200%, which is the most that you can scale something. That's the same window object that I covered the back wall with. The furniture is all stored in a collection tab, so it's not in your bags. Yay. But you do have like a certain number of things that are on there. So I probably expended about, I don't know, 50 windows out of however many I had on hand in my collections. There is a placement limit of like 10,000 items, but they said that in all their testing, nobody got anywhere near that. Like most people are around 2-3K, I think they said. Those white rugs in front of the windows are dyed white by me. Yes, some of the new furniture is dyeable. I also built a TV set. You can see I clipped a Galadriel casino asset into the wall to give it little blinky light weird on switch. The flooring and wallpaper are customizable. That white floor is blood elvish. The loft room floor is night elvish. And in my interview, I did ask about class hall furniture. And Rachel Bessoni, the game producer, told me that they actually surveyed the Blizzard staff internally to figure out what kind of class and race assets to include at launch. She said that they are pulling tons of assets from every single class and race in the game, trying to provide something for everything. That's a lot of assets. Let that sink in, right? That is the Bellameth sink in my loft room. The overall lighting is a work in progress, but they did say that their #1 priority is going to be letting players set the vibe. You know, you gotta have that mood lighting for roleplay. Oh, and guess what? They have confirmed secret bookcase door. Okay, so Jesse, the housing lead, told me, I don't know if you've seen Jay's house yet, with the secret bookcase. So there's a cozy, warmly lit room, and then he opens the secret case, and it's like dark blue with purples and everything in there. And I'm like, excuse me, what? I am already imagining so many things like, okay, VIP room, a maze, plague doctor lab behind a bakery, or a warlock master servant dungeon. There's so many things you could hide behind secret entrances. There's so many possibilities. When I asked about a music box or like a radio, their eyes lit up and they're like, oh, because you know, you could do OSTs from all the Blizzard games. And I didn't say this, but internally my mind is spinning like, oh my god, what about Microsoft games? You know, what about da-da-da, 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 do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Right. But they said no music boxes playing right now, but you can really feel how much they want to expand the feature post-launch, and they totally will if you guys ask. They have so much they want to do. Really felt like their problem is, what can we actually fit into launch? They've been pretty open-minded about things. So I was like, I noticed that you can get a portrait of that mage guy, but how about some portraits of like other characters like Sylvanas or Illidan portrait? And Jesse's like, a whole room of Illidan. I'm just like, so let's talk about neighborhoods, the social spaces. This is something they were so cagey about, like stuff we're not supposed to be talking about yet, but I got some juicy hints anyway. So at the round table, one of the devs introduced himself as Toby, design lead specifically in charge of neighborhood content for housing. So just the fact that they've got somebody on deck fully dedicated to neighborhoods, that should tell you this is a major dimension of housing. Jesse Kurlanchik, the housing lead, said something very interesting. If you want to go hard on housing or go hard on the neighborhoods and play in this space for hours a day, we should try to support that phrasing, right? Housing or neighborhoods? That makes me wonder, are they building two overlapping sandboxes, with housing being, you know, decorating, building, customizing your dungeon, and neighborhoods being socializing, visiting people, events, maybe even seasonal happenings. Taliesin asked if they'd take a seasonal approach to neighborhoods, and they said yes. This is a lot of speculation, I know, but Toby confirmed that they are already in talks with the holiday team, so it's very interesting. Now, Preach asks, how do you make sure that this doesn't feel dead in 12 months, right? And the devs talked about, you know, adding new collectibles, which is great and all, but then Toby dropped the real answer. He said, if nobody visits, we failed. That's an absolute failure case. So he said it'll feed into WoW's gameplay loop. Like, as we discussed, But it also tells me that neighborhoods are more than a backdrop. They're meant to feel alive. Like Blizzard is trying to give us this social playground, not just a yard to stand in. The roleplay support definitely seems like it's on the radar. When I asked about the social stuff for neighborhoods, Jesse himself brought up block parties, weddings, birthday parties, nightclubs. Is all stuff that they want to support. Just throwing that out there, meaning they're already imagining neighborhoods and housing as spaces for celebrations, for role play, for these community events. And so I dropped the idea of the venue finder, like an LFG for role play events. And Jesse really paused and said, it's a good idea. Like he said, it's a good seed to plant. And so if more people ask for that, they'll likely add it. Now, one thing that they were concrete about is safety. So Jesse said your safety is important and it extends beyond just physical space. You will have full control over who can enter. So if you want just friends, if you want your guild only, if you want private hermit mode, all that's gonna be possible. They also acknowledged language concerns in building out neighborhoods, especially for EU. That too is on the radar. I did ask if our alts or NPCs could hang out in the house or neighborhood. Specifically for the NPCs, they were like, we can't talk about that. But if you look at the official B-roll, you might notice some NPCs going about their business. You might want to watch that footage pretty carefully. I did ask what happens if you move neighborhoods or destroy your house, and Rachel, the game producer, said it all goes with you. The idea is, bloop, you just pick it up, drop it somewhere new, and moving should be pretty seamless. They don't want you to have to redo everything when you move. I also asked about, plot FOMO, because what if, hypothetically, me and all my friends, we want to be in the same neighborhood, and there's one best plot. Are we going to be playing the Hunger Games? Is this like how we'll integrate PvP? And Jesse said that they've actually been running internal play tests where they ask people to pick their favorite plot, and then they look at the ones that nobody picks. They say we see what plots don't get picked, and then we spruce those plots up. So they're actively trying to make every plot feel special, and I think that really shows care and love that they're pouring into this. I mean, they absolutely could have just made the zone, walked away, we're done, but they're not. And Jesse told me, I think for our zones, it's important that every sort of race feels represented in there too. He said, what's best for you isn't always what's best for me, which is very true. So hopefully no scuffed plots. Now, I want to talk about the elec in the room, which is money. How are they going to monetize this? Or really the question is, how will they not monetize it? It is Blizzard after all. We know they're going to make a bank off this. But the devs were very clear that your character's core class and race fantasy will never ever be paywalled. Jesse told me directly, your in-game fantasy, your race fantasy, your class fantasy, all of that stays in-game. We are not going to say, this is a 1-year crafted item or you can buy it in the shop. So no, your Tauren Shaman's totems, your Forsaken meat wagons, or Void Elf's tentacle bed, or whatever, those are going to be earned and not purchased with real money. So what is going to be on the shop is, think of it like the current WoW shop, stuff that's like not canon. They specified extra things like fun decorations, things more along the lines of nice to have, but not trophy stuff. Jesse said that the shop stuff will be comparable to transmog, mounts, pets. It's not functional. They don't want you to feel like, oh, I don't have access to that sweet cooking stove without buying it on the shop. As a note, in our super early build that we had, the shop tab was visible in the furniture collections window as a separate tab, and almost everybody thought that that was too intrusive. It did seem like they were open to changing that, so we'll see. But they said that their goal with housing is player first, not revenue first, and I believe them because they won't evict me if my sub lapses. So that's a step in the right direction. So where do you earn things then? Well, the answer to where can I get housing stuff is yes. Whatever kind of thing you're doing, you'll get housing stuff from it to take home with you. That's the impression I got. Jesse said, if someone has zero interest in housing, I'd still love if they did a dungeon and got a cool rug to put down. And Paul said, we don't want anything exclusive to housing that makes it mandatory. Anything you earn on any of your characters can be used in any of your houses. So maybe you can be one of the only people on your server to sweat on your legendary mythic couch. I did ask about flex furniture, you know, stuff that's prestige. So they said there will be, you know, loud pieces like the Onyxia head, things that scream, hey, yes, I killed the internet dragon. But there might be some quiet rewards too, like more subtle things. Jesse said doing a big meta achievement might earn you a literal trophy, something that's just like, if you know, you know. And I asked about sweaty stuff like high M+ scores, mythic raid clears, and Rachel said, yep, there will be something for everyone. If you want to do these really difficult things, we'll provide. And Jesse added that it's like transmog. You can always go back later and clear old content to get it. In the roundtable, they were casually tossing out ideas like, you know, what if something needed KSM or head of the curve or a mythic kill or like costs gold cap to get? You'll flex so hard on your gold cap bed. You go to bed as a gnome and wake up as a Tauren. Imagine you clear the mythic raids and your reward is a walk-in shower. As I said, the demo we played was rough around the edges. It was unfinished. They brought us in early because they want feedback now while it's still moldable. And Jesse said it would be full of hubris to assume we know what players will want on day one. And I asked about future emotes, like stuff you'd want for hanging around the house, sitting, stretching, cozying up by the fire. And Jesse said something I heard a lot this weekend, which was a lot of our schedule is based around knowing we'll need to respond to players. So they've carved out time in the dev cycle to react to feedback after launch. Jesse said there are literally tasks being created today based on what we saw today. And people had asked about, you know, ticketed events, casinos. I asked about fishing and I asked about special herb gardens, carrots, obviously. They were open to it all. They didn't shut any doors. You know, somebody's like, oh, let me use my oldest furniture. Sit on them. It was Taliesin. And Jesse said, the fact I can't just say, no, we're not doing alt furniture gives me a lot of hope, which kind of sums it up. You know, it's so exciting. Toby said it's like Pandora's box. They're really saying, you know, tell us what you want and we'll make it with you. And that's such good news. I have a lot of hope out there. I did tell them I'll never shut up about my carrots. That has to happen. So I am literally, as I record this video, about to move cross country again. I'm not even kidding. It is 4:24 a.m. and I'm leaving in about 6 hours. My life is chaotic, to say the least, but World of Warcraft for the last 20 years has been a familiar place to return to. It's been the digital home that followed me everywhere I've been. Even when I've lost my real homes, which is pretty often actually, more often than is normal. So for me, player housing isn't just about getting a really sick, rare couch. You know what I'm saying? It's about staking down a piece of this world that I love and that I grew up with and making it mine in a life where permanence isn't something that I can count on. And having the space to come home to, no matter how often I pack my bags, it's very comforting. I think it's beautiful. You know, home is where the hearth is, right? I remember way back in 2005, role-playing with my friends cross-faction through IRC chat, and my player house was this sketch room in Booty Bay, because I was a really sus night elf rogue. And we used to watch the New Year's fireworks sitting on the rooftops out there. And now I think maybe we can do that again. As neighbors, we can devour the very gods together. That's family. I couldn't resist. But to have a place that's for me, you, for us together, that's ours, it means more to me than I can say. So obviously I'm incredibly stoked for this feature, and I plan to cover housing a lot on this channel. So if you like this kind of content, if you want to dive deeper into this system, subscribe, stay with me on this journey. This is a new channel, and so this is a new, fresh journey, and I'm very excited. So I would love to hear from you in the comments section. Let me know about your dream house, what you have planned with the housing system down in the comments section. I really want to hear it. And also, of course, huge thanks again to Blizzard for flying me out to preview this system. It was also my first time at PAX, which was super cool. The feature itself looks amazing so far. And importantly, housing devs like pass the vibe check, okay? Like they're open-minded. They really seem thrilled by the possibilities. They know that this isn't just about placing decorations. This is telling your story. It's about making something that lasts. Like, they get it. So yeah, let me know what you think housing needs in the comments. And thanks again to all my Patreon and Ko-Fi supporters. A special thanks to those who subscribe at the highest tier. That's Chris and Pete Wilson. And again, as I said, I'm traveling this week, so my stream schedule is scuffed, but I hope to be back as soon as possible next week for streaming on twitch.tv/ZeplaHQ. I'm there 4 days a week, and while I'm gone, I will be working to get all of my footage from PAX and whatnot up on my Instagram page. That's ZeplaHQ. So I will see y'all in the Discord as well. If you want to join our guild, Only Buns, we have a chapter on EU and NA. Both are very active. They are amazing. We would love to have you. Just join our Discord and ask for an invite in the WoW channels, and we will get you in ASAP. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.